Cisco's Q1 fiscal 25 earnings. So had a great sit down with their CFO. That was a good to get the play by play. What I'm going to talk about is my opinion, right? So first off, beat and a raise, and man, that stock went down. So all I can figure out is a selling on the news here.
I got one thing just to put up. They are actually still down revenue year on year.
No, 100%.
Beating expectations, but they have, that's probably at least somewhat influential in that.
It's funny though, but beating expectations is always where it's at. So anyways, I have a hard time figuring this one out. One thing I did appreciate here is it's kind of been a mystery sometimes to figure out what Cisco's AI play is and how it translates financially. I really appreciated they had a slide in the deck that was crystal clear on where it plays. AI training infrastructure, AI connectivity, and AI inference out there. And they listed orders, platforms, and outlook. Thank you, Scott and team, for doing that. And even better, right, is they put a number, right? They cited the AI number at $300 million in revenue and where it would go overall in fiscal year 25, which was $1 billion. If I look broad-based and come out and I'm like, hey, what makes data go around, right? It's compute, it's data, it's security, and it's networking. And Cisco is hitting on those three for sure, right? You have Splunk with the data. You have security as a service or security appliances and hardware. And obviously the networking is obvious. Interestingly enough, they pointed out a lot of hyperscaler networking revenue, which I think always, we sometimes think of Cisco as an enterprise networking play only, but it's good to see them bring that out. And they do their own silicon with Silicon One. And the only reason I'm not, even though the company came out and said they were all in on AI computing at their partner summit, I haven't seen enough to think if it's going to be material to the rest of the business. UCS and these AI pods seem like a really good easy button, and UCS has always been a good easy button when you wrap compute, storage, and networking in there. But it would, margin structure on compute is a lot lower than any of their other businesses. So, they're not in the same business of pushing compute like Dell and Lenovo and HPE.
Thanks for not saying Supermicro.
Yeah, they definitely.
I can't believe we didn't actually do a segment on that. Can I just do one real quickly?
Please.
I think they're getting delisted. I think that might be the best short of all time. Or one of them. I think they're the next Enron. Anyway, I mean, everything I'm reading, I got no inside there. Pat, I think you covered that really well. I mentioned in the beginning, like they are sort of in this return to growth. I mean, they've got great accretive growth with Splunk, 50% recurring software revenue now. They've done a great job diversifying, getting off this sort of box volume strategy that it had so long been well known for. I think entering compute again is going to be really interesting. I think you talked about the margin structure, Pat. I think picking their spots is going to be so important that they don't sort of try to attack it at volume. I think they need to look at where they can really add value, which goes back to their pod approach for the longest time. It was always kind of the ultra premium, highly integrated. But Pat, I mean, networking. Okay, think about this. This is a company that amidst this super boon. And what does this say? This says that the enterprise is still in its infancy because NVIDIA's got the hyperscalers, and then some of this, the Dell and stuff is selling to the tier twos, but where's all the opportunity for AI? It's going to be these on-prem, smaller cluster AI data centers that are going to be used for large enterprises that either need to for sovereignty, data residency, lineage, and all these different reasons, compliance, or it's going to be companies that are going to want to do a little bit more of their AI on-prem. They're going to want to maybe get cost structures in place. It's still really early days to figure out what like the long-term cost implications are for companies to run their compute. And there's going to be a technology economics experiment that's going to need to be run over the next few years, because technology is going to become one of the biggest cost centers to companies to figure out how to manage this, how to optimize this, and how to get compute, cost per not just token, but just cost of compute down to the lowest level it needs to be to run the business is going to be super interesting. And this is where Cisco should be able to shine. This is where they play particularly well. So I think it's interesting they're getting into compute. I think Splunk and the ARR is really compelling. I mean, but not seeing the networking grow faster amidst all the, you and I talking about networking for AI, is because networking for AI is really still only happening in the tier 1, tier 2 data centers. It isn't happening yet at scale in the enterprise. And that, I think, is where, and we got some of that from G2 and the team when we met them at the Partner Summit. But I think that's when Cisco starts to become a real beneficiary of the AI tailwind. And that's going to be a longer term, by the way.
Hey, have you guys done a forecast at Futurum Group data on when it hits?
Enterprise?
Yeah. Enterprise.
I think we are working on data center infrastructure as we speak. But I mean, right now, most of the CAGR and most of the inputs, now we'll have some new IT. We actually have a CIO survey going out right now, about 700 CIOs that had control over $16 billion of spend. And we'll have their insights. And we'll be publishing that pretty soon. As soon as we do, we'll talk about it a little bit here on the show. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to see the longer tail. I actually talked to Dr. Howard Rubin yesterday on the 6.5 Main Scoop. And he does technology economics. And that's what he does. And he and I had a little debate on the air, but he basically told me enterprises aren't in on AI at all. He said from a number standpoint, there's almost like, in terms of their IT infrastructure, it's almost nothing.
That's right. They did science projects and they're doing some POCs, but they're not scaling. I think it's likely 18 months before we see the hockey stick. The biggest challenge right now is data management and securing that data. And I think that the land of models, it's going to be smaller, either horizontal or vertical models that are achieving different types of things, very focused on the actual business output and business benefits.